It eats its weight in leaves every day. It fends off attackers with the needle on its head. The Pokédex, Diamond and Pearl version. I've done a number of early Gen 1 Pokemon in the past. Rattata, Pidgey, Bulbasaur, Charmander, maybe others. But one reason that I gravitate toward those early game Pokemon is that I have such strong memories of the feeling I got the first time I fired up Red version after school. It was nearly 25 years ago, and I don't remember all the details, but the feelings are there. I don't remember if I caught Pidgey or Rattata first, but I know I caught a Weedle in Viridian Forest, and felt like the greatest Pokemon master who ever lived when I leveled it up enough to get a Beedrill. Growing up and even until now, I've always loved characters that were the number 2, the black sheep, the underdog. I was a fan of Donatello because he was the nerdy Ninja Turtle versus Leonardo's unearned leadership. I loved Wolverine's complicated past, full of anger and angst over Cyclops' Boy Scout attitude. When Power Rangers came around, I stuck with the Red Ranger as my favorite, even after Tommy's Green and White Rangers were clearly the main character. Weedle is the mirror of Caterpie, and Caterpie evolves into Butterfree, a main character in the anime, while Weedle evolves into Beedrill, often portrayed as the Pokemon of villains. It makes me think of that "we have food at home" meme. I want a Caterpie. We have Caterpies at home, and then show a picture of Weedle, subtitled Caterpie at Home. But Weedle is so much more interesting than Caterpie. Caterpie is just a caterpillar. It evolves into just a butterfly. Weedle is a weird worm with a stinger and evolves into a giant bumblebee with stingers for hands. Caterpie learns tackle, while Weedle learns poison sting. And at the risk of focusing on its evolutionary path too much, Kakuna is just so much cooler than Metapod, both in design and in name. Another thing I love about Weedle is the choice to make it not quite a version exclusive. I'm going to make up numbers here because I'm pulling them from my memory of an off-brand strategy guide. My parents didn't shell out for the Prima guide. But in Red version, you had something like 80% chance of running into Weedle or Kakuna in Viridian Forest, 5% chance of running into Caterpie, and the other 15% divided between Pikachu, Pidgey, and other early game Pokemon. In Blue version, that 80% was Caterpie and Metapod, with a 5% chance of Weedle. It made each version have a more common bug without adding to the list of version exclusives. Also, just as a side note, I love that they made Pikachu obtainable but extremely rare in the early game. It felt like it meant something if you caught the most popular Pokemon so early and got you in that mindset of spending what felt like hours farming for experience in rare Pokemon. Something that I still enjoy in games today. Going back as an adult, the Viridian Forest is a short, idiot-proof dungeon. I would only catch a Weedle if I was doing some sort of weird run involving poison or bug-type Pokemon. Still, it's the first real challenge in the game for first-time players and makes the game feel open even in the most linear section. I play a lot of games that involve leveling up, especially right before boss fights. Farming for experience in Pokemon to fill out my team before fighting Brock isn't so different from going back and leveling up or farming for gear before fighting Margit in Elden Ring, or whatever other boss you think of when it comes to early game bosses. In fact, even modern open world or Metroidvania type games will sometimes lock you into a spot near a boss where it's difficult to farm. That's something Pokemon has never done. So that's all I've got on Weedle, a weird bug with a poison stinger. We'll see you next time, and don't forget that you are the very best, like no one ever was.